What's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving. The book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. A link will be in the description box below, as usual. This one is entitled Americans Can Fail. You see, people speak of having the mentality that failure isn't an option. But when I look around and in this country, I think failure is a viable option now because everybody's so comfortable. Everybody's comfortable. Well, I'm not going to say everybody. Most of America is comfortable with their first world options that, you know, if they fail today, they'll still eat. If they fail today, they'll still have a roof over their head. If they fail today, they'll still have some type of support system. We are upset about not being as successful as other people in a country where sometimes we won't work as hard as the other people that we want to be, or we don't have the network that they have, right? But Americans can fail because excellence is frowned upon. You see, people actually praise people for being excellent. That's what they say. But if you're in a room with an excellent person and that excellent person is in a room full of average people, 9 times out of 10, all of the average people will band together to resent them. So that's the same when we go out into the world. We like seeing people who are rich and famous, and the people who are rich and famous for nothing seem to get more publicity from everyday people than the people who are actually rich and famous for being excellent. We rather see them have some type of drama in their life so we can, drag them down with that, right? Now here we go. This country has been coddled from day one. Since we living in a stolen country, you know, people don't respect this country. That are in this country, that have been in this country for hundreds of years. Since this country was built on slavery, people still, whether they know it or not, have the mentality that they can take credit for somebody else's work and it's just as good as doing the work. The other thing about that is that's the same issue with taking credit as far as like patent stealing and idea stealing. People think that's a viable option. Oh, you could come up with something and I could steal it and I can spin this crowd to say they like me more than they like you. So that's just like putting in the work when it's not. But that's how this country is. You know, whether people want to admit it or not, people hate that in this country a person might get down on their luck and think about committing a crime. Well, why is that? Because this whole country was committed by angry. This whole country came to be by people who were angry at somebody else, left where they were at, and then came here and committed crimes against humanity to get ahead. The whole country was founded on criminality, whether you like to admit it or not. So failure is an option because you can always take the easy way out and rob somebody to get ahead. Um, Failure is an option here because people don't hold your feet to the fire. See, your child can go to school here and get bad grades, and they'll still move that kid up to the next grade. There is no principle to saying that, look, you didn't earn it. I know you got older. I know you're supposed to be with your other class, but you failed, so you got to do this again. That doesn't happen as often as it used to. So you could fail and keep progressing because they need to push you out for the numbers, right? It's not about if you earn it or not. Failure is an option because you can always blame it on somebody else. You know, if you have a legitimate complaint, that's understandable. But nowadays, failure is an option because people make illegitimate complaints. People will say, this is holding me back. That's holding me back. This person did this, and now I can't do that. Now, like I said, if it's a legitimate issue, cool. But because you have an issue doesn't mean you don't have to deal with adversity in life. Because a lot of people mistake um, not being successful with them not being able to deal with adversity. Like everybody's gonna have an issue. That doesn't it's not gonna be perfect for you. The fact that you think that it's got to be a perfect situation for you to get yourself involved and you have to deal with no adversity lets me know how high the level of failure is in your life because you never did anything. Everybody knows, you know, you're gonna have to deal with pressure. You're gonna have to deal with bad situations. You're gonna have to deal with the odds being against you. You're gonna have to see what you're made of under bad circumstances. This is why out here I think failure is an option because most people have a support system that tells them it's okay to quit. I don't think that's a good idea, but this is what I see. And getting back to excellence, this is another reason why I say failure and American failure is an option. Is because if you see somebody who's excellent, 9 times out of 10 they're surrounded by people who are average or incompetent, and you know what they do? They don't do their job, and they leave the person that's excellent there to show up at the last minute and make it look good for everybody who didn't do their job. You know, you can have a resume, and your resume can say where you worked, um, how long you worked, your good qualities, you've been there on time. But as far as you need a reference to somebody to call, you might do that with a friend that you work with, but nobody can say what you did on that job because the question will be asked: you, did you leave this place because you were the excellent person that came up with all the ideas and you didn't get credit for it? Or you the person who benefited off of somebody else's ideas and now you trying to get a raise from it? So are you bringing something to the table, or you just one of those people that sit at the table and gorge? And more times than not, you meet people who sit at the table, bring a fork and knife, and just gorge, and then have that look like, I thought this is what you do, and everybody knows that. This is why I say failure is an obstacle because this is a parasitic type of society. You know, a lot of the a lot of the comforts that we have in this country are because of stolen resources from other countries, and the mentality of like this AIG mentality we have of being too big to fail. If you notice that, like as long as something gets big enough, then it's too big to fail because it affects other things. This is why failure is an option because you don't actually have to be excellent and sustain yourself and maintain what you've created because all you got to do is make yourself big, and that's dangerous. You know, because just because you're big means somebody else has to pick up your slack. Like whether people want to admit it or not, when you look at the history of this country, it's a welfare country. You know how they did the freeway system, how they created the middle class, um, how they created uh, the generation now who may be baby boomers and the people right after baby boomers when they were able to get their educations, how they give out business loans to certain to people, and while keeping other people oppressed so they can't get ahead. You know, this country is basically a comfortable welfare state, and people come here and they say things like, how come you aren't farther ahead? Because in some aspects they're right. Because here failure is an option. You can fail and still get a meal at night. You can fail and still have family take care of you. You can fail and your kids not starve. So you got to ask yourself, because work ethic is something internal. So is your work ethic actually built on you getting your bare minimums, or is your work ethic built on you actually fulfilling your potential? 9 times out of 10, it's not that. So I'm out. Peace.